All right, guys, we are fishing just a local lake, real clear water fishery, kind of pressured lately. So I'm throwing the hover strolling rig, which is a specialized hook. You can use just a jig hook, but this is a Ryugi hover shot hook. It's got a little keeper on the back side, but it's a 90-degree jig head hook. And I'm rigging it on a flatworm with a nail weight. So I'll insert the nail weight into the head. And I like to leave it so it's sticking out just a tiny bit. So if it hits a rock, it'll clack on the rock. But this is just a 16th ounce. Then you take the hook and you insert it about a 1/4 inch behind the front of the head. And then just thread it on like you would any other bait. And that's your rig right there. So you can see it's a little bit different of a setup, but what that does is it gives you a really good spiral motion. Let's see if you can see it. So when it falls, it's a real slow fall. And it's a really good spiral motion. Let's see if we can do it on this side. So you get a spiral and you get a glide. So if we put it in, it's tough to see with this bait, but it'll spiral. You can control it with a glide. If you put a little pressure on it, you can just make it glide in the water. Not sure if you can see that or not, but you get a real nice glide out of it. It's really tough for the fish to not bite. And this little flatworm works great. So we're just gonna see what we can catch. We got a few hours. A little hover strolling. A lot of people aren't doing it, but they're really missing out because it's a very, very good technique. It's similar to like how a tube would fall, but it's a little bit more finessey, a little bit more natural looking. There goes a bass. Let's see if we can get him to eat it. It's not a big one. He's swimming over to it. He is looking at it. Looking at it. Did not eat it. I think it got buried up in a little bit of weeds. So there's a bunch of different types of structure that I like to fish with these. You know, the hover strolling technique is great because you get the fall, but at the same time you can fish, you can swim it through the water column. So, you know, like in this case, I'm going down a break line, the boat's in 16 feet of water, and I've got all kinds of bluegill and bait that are right along the break line. We're early summer, post spawn, so fish are starting to move out a little bit. So, you know, when I'm fishing this, I'm fishing more just the vertical fall, not really fishing it back to the boat that much. But I also like to fish it on flats. So like the first couple fish I caught today were more just on like a sand gravel flat, and you can fan cast and sight fish, and it's a really good bait just to get those fish to respond. And then the last thing I like to do with it is fish suspended fish. You know, I'm gonna keep an eye out for some fish that are sitting off the break line, and it's a really good bait for those suspended fish. When you see that, you know, a lot of times, ooh, like that looked like a good one right there. That's a big fish right there. So that fish is suspended over, you know, 20 foot of water right off, like, looks like a nice group of bluegill. They're really tough fish to catch, but if you can catch those fish, those are going to be your better quality ones. That fish is moving pretty fast too. I don't even know where it just went, but I like to fish the suspended fish as well. And because it's such a slow fall, it's a really good bait to swim past them. And when you see fish like that that are suspended up off the bottom, you can watch your bait go down and then you know, engage your reel to get more of that vertical fall and stop the spiral fall, so you can fish them at a certain depth. if if you're seeing them suspended, say over 60 feet of water and you're only fishing 10 foot of water. So really good bait for doing that as well. You can fish them vertical under the boat. It is a slow process to get your bait down there, but a lot of times that's what those fish want. They don't want something that's just a crazy fast fall. So if you need to slow down, you can do it and fish vertical. But if you've got a windy day, it's probably not the ideal bait for doing it. But works, largemouth, spotted bass, smallmouth, they all eat it. I really don't understand why we don't hear a lot more about it, because it's an extremely versatile technique, and it's one that really catches the fire out of the fish. From an equipment standpoint, I think a medium light action rod, I'm throwing here just a NSJ 871 rod, so it's a medium light action rod. A 7.3. I've got a 10-pound braid Berkeley X9 to a 8-pound Berkeley 100% fluorocarbon. So it's a finesse setup, but you catch big fish on it. Like, it's not just that's a nice bass out there. It's not just a small fish game. It is, you do catch a pile of numbers on it, but definitely something that can put a bunch of fish in the boat for you. They cannot refuse this thing. I'm just seeing them in the holes in the grass and flipping down. This one's a little better. Oh, 2-pounder. Oof, sorry, fish. That one's not too bad. There he is. I knew I saw one up there cruising. I think he did a loop behind that. It's a pretty good one, actually. On the old hover shot. That's not a bad one. Come here, fish. I don't want to swing you. Ow. I actually got him on the bottom. That's a nice, probably 2.5-pounder. God, I think he's still pre-spawn. That's crazy. Just a clean fish. No rubbings or nothing. Still got a nice belly on it. I can't believe we still could be pre-spawn, but these fish are up roaming like they're pre-spawn fish. That's the part that I don't understand. I mean, we're what is today? May 25th? And there's just so many. Like, I see another one up there. That was not a great cast, but maybe he'll go swim over and get it. He's going for it. Did he eat it? No. He's not as big, but I mean, they're just up on these flats, like they're sunning themselves. It just seems so late, but I mean, that fish was pristine. Where did that guy go? I don't know where he went, somewhere up there. Got you. Like you've never seen a bait before. Another small keeper. Another small keeper. Taking my hover salt. Another decent little keeper. We're on a lake here that does not have a pile of big fish. 3-pounder is a good one here. So keepers are always nice to catch. There's another one. That's a good one. Come here, fish. That's a real good one for here, guys. See that thing just swallowed down in there? I really don't understand why this technique is not used more. I mean, it just catches the fish, the fire out of them. That's probably a 3 1/4, almost 3 1/2. I mean, that's a nice fish, especially for this lake. Real nice fish. Just fan casting it around. I'll put the link to the hook that I'm using. It's just the Ryobi hover shot, and then I'll put the link to the flatworm. I just feel like the flatworm works so good. This is just the normal size one. You can use the big one too, though, especially if you're fishing largemouth. It works real well. The little one is the one I have with me today, and it is catching the fire out of them. I mean, I'm sure I'm not going to show the number of fish catches, but I mean, I'm catching a fish on every 5th cast, it feels like. I've got a whole floor full of used up flatworms. But that's what they're for. Not a giant, but oh, come here. Another small keeper. Probably a 15-incher. Guys, I lied to you. I went to the bigger size. I found a bag of the bigger size flatworms, and I just put them on right now. Maybe that's a good sign. I've gone through 2 bags of the normal size, and the grab bag I grabbed out was the bigger 4 1/4 size, so we're going with that now. Guys, I wish I could show you the fall on this. It's the most erratic fall. I mean, this is what makes it so good. And a lot of this has to do with the bait. The bait itself, like this is the flatworm is the best worm I've seen and I've used to create very erratic fall. But what it does is it'll like glide, and then it'll go into a spin, and then it does like a loop-de-loop, and then it'll glide, and then it'll go left, go right. It's so erratic that it triggers the fish. into biting. I mean, there's nothing else that I know that will get an erratic fall like that. A tube, you can get the spiral or go glide to side, but it doesn't do everything. There's one right there. It doesn't do everything at the same time. And I have caught so many bass like this one today, guys, that I'm sure won't make the video. This one might, because I was explaining what was going on. You know, it's a 13.5-inch fish. But it's that motion that creates this, that generates the strikes. And other baits don't do that. Other baits have a slow fall. Other baits will do things, but they don't switch it up for you. You know, if you use a jerk bait, yeah, you can change up the cadence. You can, there's another one. You can make the bite and everything happen. But in this case, you don't actually do anything. Like, the bait does the work for you. And it's just really hard. It's just really hard for these fish to not eat it. You know, that's a skinny 14-incher right there. And they've got it all the way down. Man, it's a 14.5-incher. And it's just, you know, the bait holds up great. Everything's, you know, doing good. I'm not going to say you don't go through some baits, go through some, you know, some weights as well, but when the fish are bigger like that, they get the whole bait. You actually don't lose that many. It's when you catch all them little ones that they knock the weights off, because they don't have the bait all the way down its belly. But it's just important to note that it's really a do nothing bait for the angler, but it's a do everything bait from a lure standpoint. It's really a very, it's just a good one. You guys got to try it. That's all I can say. I mean, you've seen me catch a bunch of fish on it today in a short amount of time. And you can fish it in so many different ways. You can fish it, you know, like I was saying, on break lines, up shallow, down deep. You can really do whatever you want with it. That's a good one. Another decent one, at least. Not giant, but oh. Another one pushing 3 on the old hover. Another nice fish. They're all in really nice shape. Like, no spawn or nothing going on. I don't know what's the deal with that. We've caught them doing a little bit of everything today on the hover, but you know, we've caught them just going down the bank, throwing in light spots. I've caught them fishing the brake line. I've caught them suspended off the brake line over like 40 foot of water. They're a little bit of everything right now, but this flatworm, I'm actually really digging the 4 1/4 inch size. I went up a little bit in weight to 3/32 just with the bigger bait, but it seems to be working pretty good so far. But I'm not sure how much longer we have out here. There's a storm that's moving in. We've been out for probably 3 hours, maybe. Not even quite. 2 hours and 45 minutes. And, you know, we've caught some nice fish, especially for this lake. I mean, we've, I think, had 7 or 8 keepers, and, you know, one that was 3 1/4, 3 1/2. That one was right around 3. We had one earlier that was probably 2 1/2, some 2s. I mean, for a few hours of fishing, it's really not bad at all for out here. Man, I think I see one sitting under there. It's either, oh yeah, eat it, eat it, eat it. Couldn't tell if it was part of the dock or he chased it down. That's what I mean. They're in like every phase out here right now. There's fish suspended under docks on cloudy days or under these floating pontoons. Anyways, I really hope that this kind of showed you guys a little bit of what the what you can do with the hover. I always call it the hover shot, but it's the hover strolling is technically the technique, but it's just a really good finesse presentation. Really shines in clear water. I'm not a big fan of it in water when you don't have, like, I would say you want at least 3 feet of visibility because it's such a finesse tactic. But you know, we've been fishing around bluegill today. There's bluegill suspended everywhere, literally everywhere. But if you've got shad, works great. Perch works great. I mean, it's really it's all about patience because it takes a while to fall. But if you're willing to deal with it, you can fish it down to 30 foot. I've caught a lot of big smallmouth doing that. And, you know, it's just quickly becoming one of my favorite presentations. I haven't been doing it for long, just a couple of years. But it really works well. So hopefully, guys, you enjoyed it. If you did and you're looking for the tackle, I'll put links to Tackle Warehouse so you know exactly what I was using. Hit the like button, share it, subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already, and stay tuned. We'll have another video coming out tomorrow.